Welcome to So You Think You Can Write. Is your first page ready to go?
Let's hope so.
Exactly. Our panel of authors are going to look at a first page through the eyes of an agent or editor and see if it is ready for publication. So my name is Lindsay, and with me is Booher.
Hey everybody.
Janette, Rallison.
Adrienne, Quintana.
Connor Blaylock.
There we go. And the way it works is we are going to have one of us. This time it's going to be Aaron, who will be the narrator, and he's going to read. And at any point, if we, as the other four judges, decide that we would stop reading a manuscript, we'll buzz that out.
All right. So this is Warped. That's the title, not me.
Or the game show.
That's right. It was tomorrow when Charlotte's plane landed at Heathrow Airport. She thought time travel was supposed to be instantaneous. Instead, it had taken about 12 hours for the entire trip, including a layover. She felt instant relief, however, at being able to stand up and move around again, the blood returning fully to her limbs. After staggering out of the terminal with her fellow... Rock?
Just get on with it. It's not enough action. Oh, I fly all the time. Anyway.
Oh, the pilot. But do you fly in time? I'm just saying. Okay.
At first I was kind of interested, and I'm like, oh, come on, you're getting off the airplane.
After staggering out of the terminal with her fellow passengers, Charlotte made her way past security, fighting the grogginess in her brain as she looked for signs pointing toward the baggage claim.
I'm with Brock here. I think we need, like, at the first sentence I thought was interesting because I think, oh, this maybe is time travel. But now I'm like, this is just, we've all gotten off airplanes.
Okay.
We need more of a conflict.
But before she could find her way, a tall, thin gentleman caught her eye. See, you didn't wait for the tall, thin gentleman. Now you're back in.
Now I'm interested.
He stood just outside security, looking right at her with light blue eyes through bottle-button glasses. Right, her grandparents had said they'd meet her outside security. Charlotte's sluggish brain pulled the reminder out with some effort.
Okay, so we already had the tired, sluggish brain, and now we had it again
Double
already.
sluggish.
And so really the big problem is that she's sluggish, and we're already in the third paragraph.
Mm-hmm. Changing direction, she headed toward the tall man with short gray hair, who smiled as she approached. Jacer Caller, or Papa, as her mother said Charlotte called him, looked as he did in the picture she'd seen, perhaps a little older. Mom said Charlotte had met him before, but she didn't recall. Papa greeted her and kept a comfortable silence as they retrieved her luggage and boarded a train that would take them into the city. Charlotte dozed for most of the ride. She awoke to Papa gently calling to her,
Randy's still in.
patting her hand, and the overhead speakers announcing their arrival at Victorian Station. Charlotte moved her hand away and blinked the sleep out of her eyes. Oh, she almost made it! That was the last sentence.
You don't start a book with I woke up, I had a dream, whatever. I mean, that's just a general rule of writing. You don't start a novel off sleeping. You start it off with something important happening.
Well, after reading this, I want to wipe the sleep out of my eyes. To be totally honest with you, because it just moved too slowly. Her grandfather's picking her up, and I think this has a lot of potential though, because it sounds like the start of a story of a grandson or daughter. Is it Jason?
Jason and Papa.
Jason.
This is, yeah.
Right? Going to
Charlotte's.
learn about her grandparents.
Charlotte is, yeah.
So it sounds kind of like a life interrupted almost journey, and those are appealing. And so it has potential. I just think she's got to move the story a little faster.
Yeah, we could have felt a lot more conflict, I think, if there had been some dialogue between her and Papa right away.
Right,
Where we've got the whole
something strange.
first page, and she's met this grandfather who she doesn't remember ever meeting, but we have zero dialogue
Right.
with, and we don't know how that interaction went. Which I think I agree with Brock, that it could be very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. It's a low tension opening but
Right.
so we don't know. And the thing is that agents and editors probably are not going to keep reading to see if it gets better. The good things about this is technically it was well written.
Yeah.
We didn't see any problems technically in the writing where we're switching point of views or doing
Just do good.
Grammatically, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, and it opens with a good line. And that's one of the really key elements when you're doing a first page is make your first line, your first paragraph as intriguing as possible to drag the reader into the story. And this manuscript did that.
Some intriguing dialogue between her and her grandfather, I agree, would have created some tension and would have also piqued my interest.
Well, it
What
could
you
have
mean?
manifested some of this grogginess that was, she restated over and over, the sluggishness, the tired
Could've given
brain,
us
the
that.
grogginess. She could have given that in dialogue.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The show don't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and if she had a dialogue, we don't have any characterization of her. We don't know if Charlotte's spunky or
Or how she
shy
feels about the trip.
wallflower.
We
How
honestly
she
didn't know
feels.
how old she was until it told us her grandparents or whatever. I was picturing her older until we got to the grandparents because
Well,
We
it's
were
time
in
to
the
tell. We don't know if she's old.
No, but we still don't know
Right.
how old she is because, I mean, I have a grandmother that's still alive and I'm pretty old. So,
That's true.
and she's talking about never having met them, but we don't know that she's a child still.
I have
Right.
less of a problem with it, us not knowing the age of the person. My biggest concern with this is, obviously this is science fiction because we're talking about time travel, right? But the only hint to time travel is the opening line, and then we move away from it. And what is so really super important, especially with genre fiction, is that you establish your genre. It has to feel like a genre. So what we do is we go from a great opening line to a very generic airport scene.
Right.
And so if you were to take out that opening line, you would have no idea that this is science fiction.
Right, well, and also because this is science fiction, I wasn't sure whether this is literally this is in the future sometime and they're
Or she
literally
just
time
means
traveling.
she left yesterday and she got
Yeah.
there tomorrow because she crossed the time
right.
line, right?
So I was a
International
little
deadline or something.
Right,
Unsure
so
about that.
it might not actually be
Right, that's
science
right.
fiction, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, true that.
It does say it's science fiction.
right,
Why?
that's the
But
only.
other than that,
Well, because she thought that time travel was supposed to be instantaneous. Otherwise, yeah, she could have just went the backwards way around the world and
Yeah, so I'm
been
still not
tomorrow.
sure which that is. The other thing is that I feel like we're not really in her head, that there's not a thought or a reaction to any of this, like especially if you're meeting your grandparents,
yeah.
you're gonna have some
There's
reaction.
emotion.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe my parents made me do this, or, oh, I'm so
So no,
excited.
give her
to
some
go on
idea of what you think.
So
adventure.
no characterization. I mean, obviously in one page you can't do a lot, but we should have at least a small feel for the character within the first page.
Right, well, and also, whenever you're having your character do something that's important, we should know what the reaction to it is. So if she's going away, like, we're
Right.
assuming this is a big
Is she happy,
moment.
sad,
Right.
nervous, or just groggy?
Right.
Right,
'Cause
which is all left.
We're just
yeah.
getting groggy right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think the story, like I said, there's some potential with it, and I like, I mean, this would interest me if it's what I think it is, someone kind of traveling in time and getting to know maybe their ancestors or
Right.
something. That would be a very intriguing a possibility, so it has some potential.
Right, and you can tell that this writer is not completely novice, doesn't know anything, because the writing, we didn't see the writing problems.
Yep.
Right, and the prose was good.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's definitely something that agents and editors are going to be looking for. Did it flow smoothly? And it definitely flowed smoothly for the whole first page. There weren't any awkward sentences, so. Then I guess that brings us to judging, right? Now, I'm going to have to retract my buzzer because I found out that after I looked at the manuscript, I buzzed after the last word.
Right.
So I didn't actually buzz it. Now, the rest of you though, the three of you, you would have to give this a right rating.
Right rating, keep
Rewrite.
writing.
Keep
Rewrite.
writing, okay? Aaron,
I get to give it a thing?
you
Yeah.
get to judge it, yes.
Yeah, I'd say right. But all those things that we said are easily fixable, and you'd have a first page that would make me keep reading.
Absolutely.
So, but I say right.
Right, and definitely go back in and put in some more science. Let us know that this really is a science fiction story and not an airport travel log, and that's going to make a difference.
Yep, I agree.
It'll make me want to read on. All right, so that is our first episode, our evaluation on Warped. You can find out more about this. We'll be doing a podcast on the show, so you can go to Ready, Set, Right Podcast and listen to our podcast about the new show and what our thoughts about this and the new format for us.
And please send in your submission if you think you can write.
And remember that we're evaluating your first page, not your worth as a person.
And that
I'm sure
reminds
you're
me,
lovely.
wait, and that reminds me, you have a chance to evaluate us. Did we get it right? Okay, we're gonna post a manuscript, go look at it, leave comments in the comment section below. Were we right? Did we buzz in too soon? Or whatever you think about that. So, and because agents, editors, and authors, we make mistakes too.
Well, we all have different tastes.
All right? Until next time.
So, you think you're right? Thanks.